Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Youthman. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite home theater accessories, and that's banana plugs. But before we get into the video, if you're into home theater, audio and video, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified when the next video drops. Alright guys, in my last video, I shared with you about a friend of my son's that is beginning to build his own home theater on a super tight budget. Now he came to me last week, said, Michael, I've got about 400 bucks. What can we do to begin to build a home theater? We ended up buying him 3 speakers. We ended up purchasing a pair of Klipsch RF82s as well as a Klipsch RC62 center channel. Now his plan was to use his old Onkyo receiver that he had had for some time but hadn't been in use for a while. And when he got everything home, got it all hooked up, he realized his Onkyo did not work. The HDMI ports had gone kaput, which of course Onkyo has had some issues in the past with those. So here we go again, shopping on Craigslist, OfferUp, Letgo, and Facebook Marketplace. And we found him a really sweet deal on a Pioneer SC85 incredible receiver for only 200 bucks. We arrived at this guy's house. He opened up his home, shared with us his home theater, which was really cool. We loaded back up in the truck, headed back home, ended up taking a picture of Joe in his excitement with his new receiver, posted that on one of the Facebook groups, and in that group, one of the members wanted to do something really cool and really generous. He said, Michael, I would love to hook this young man up with his first banana plugs. And so he sent me a set of GLS locking banana plugs. And he also sent a couple extra because he knew he had 3 speakers. So he sent enough for all 3 speakers to hook on the receiver side as well as on the speaker side. And he included the original GLS screwdriver, as well as some extra screws. So what an incredible offer. So the person that donated that, you know who you are, and I am super grateful, and Joe is super grateful. I ended up bringing these out, went to hook them up to his speaker wire, and they were actually quite a bit too thin. He had probably 16 gauge. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to set this up. I'm going to show you how to install these. We bought some thicker speaker wire so that it'll be a little bit easier install. And I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are of the GLS locking banana plugs. So with that said, let's go ahead and get these out of the box and I'll show you what they look like and we'll get them installed. Okay, for the installation, we're going to need our banana plugs. We're going to need some type of tool that's a flathead screwdriver, really small. You can either use the GLS audio one or any kind of like an eyeglass kit would work good for that. I need some speaker wire. I picked this up on Amazon. This is 12 gauge. The 12 gauge basically is the thickness of the wire. And so the lower the number, the thicker the wire. 10 gauge is really thick. 12 gauge is plenty for home theater. 14 gauge is typically what I use. But because this hole is so large, I went ahead and went with some thicker wire. This is really inexpensive on Amazon. I picked up a, I think this is a 50-foot roll for like $15. And so it's super cheap. I'll post a link to that in the description below if you're looking for some decent wire. We're gonna need some wire cutters as well as some wire strippers. All right, let's go ahead and cut this right here. Doesn't look as, definitely doesn't look as thick as I thought it was going to be, but surely it's going to be thick enough. So basically what we're going to want to do is we need to cut several pieces out of this. So since I'm using this for 3 speakers, his front left, front right, as well as his center channel, I'll end up cutting this wire into 3 pieces, have a little bit left over. I'm going to go ahead and cut 3 8-foot lengths, install the banana plugs to those, and then we'll have a little bit of wire left over for him. Let's just go ahead and get that measured out. We'll cut it. I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got that measured out. Go ahead and cut this here. And we'll take our first wire. And usually what I do is I'll just kind of snip it right in the middle. And that'll allow me to separate it. You can just pull it like that. We're going to take our wire snips, and right on here there's a little notch that says 12. That's your 12 gauge. I'm going to slide that right in there. Now I make these a little bit longer with these because that's a long shaft. You're actually going to need to put it in almost all the way. So we're going to probably do about 1 inch. So there's one. I like to get them both about the same distance. All right. Okay, I'm just going to give this a little half turn there. A little twist just to tighten those up a little bit. All right. So now what we're going to do is we got to take and unscrew this sleeve. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to unscrew this, lay it off to the side, and inside here you have 2 set screws, so that's where you're going to need a small flathead screwdriver. So we're just going to unscrew that on the top and the bottom one. Okay. So what that does is just allow the opening. You can see that hole is, I mean, you can see we've got plenty of room to put just about any gauge you want in there. Now one thing I'm concerned about is even though this is 12 gauge, it's not super thick like I thought it was going to be. So what I'm going to do, instead of trying to get that in there and try to squeeze it, I don't think that's going to hold. So we're going to lay this down. I'm going to go ahead and cut off some more. So normally this would be plenty for most banana plugs, but these locking banana plugs, because of those set screws, you're gonna have to cut off. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna try, what if we go double? All right, we're gonna try this. We're gonna cut it right here. So now we've got twice the length to work with. And what we're going to do is actually fold it in half like this. Then I'm going to give this a little twist. So basically what we've done is we've made that wire now twice as thick as 12 gauge. So when we slide it in there, hopefully we got a better chance of grabbing the wire. So we just slide it in there. I almost forgot something. This is super important because once you do this, you're going to be ticked off. So make sure this sleeve is on here first. Then go ahead and slide this on. All the way in there like that. And then we're going to tighten these set screws down. Now keep in mind, if you tighten these down too far, the set screw will actually drop down into this barrel, and then you're going to have to take it apart and redo it. Don't ask me how I know that. Probably because I've done it one too many times. Okay, we're going to give it a tug. Okay, they're nice and firm. So I think those are about down as far as I can go with that one. Get that one another half turn. Nice and snug. Then we're going to slide this barrel up. And so the way these work, I really like the concept behind the locking banana plugs, because over time your tips sometimes get loose inside the fixture on the back of your receiver, on the back of your speakers. And so I'll show you in a little bit, I'll demonstrate it, but as you turn this, it pushes these two bars right here up, and as it pushes them up, this opens up, and so it locks into position and it won't pull out until you give this little half turn like that. So I won't bore you with doing the other ones, but you do all of them the same exact way. So you're going to need, make sure that you do a black on one and a red on the other so that it would look like that right there. So I'll go ahead and put this one on, speed up the video, and I want to show you how these actually insert into the back of your center channel or a speaker. All right, so we've got our banana plugs all connected. So they're nice and tight there. So here we have the Paradigm 600C center channel. So we're going to turn that around. The reason why I wanted to demonstrate hooking them up to a speaker is because not every speaker can accommodate banana plugs without doing a small modification. And let's zoom in to take a closer look and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so as you can see on the back of this center channel, there's two sets of binding posts. Now, the reason why they give you two sets of binding posts, or what they call dual binding posts, is some people like to bi-amp or bi-wire. So basically what that would be is connecting one set of cables here, one set of cables here, and before you do that, you've got to loosen these up, and you would remove this little jumper. So basically now you have separation between your high frequency, which would basically be your tweeter, and your low frequencies, which would be your woofers. So most of the time I don't tend to prefer bi-amping and bi-wiring. So we're just going to slide that right back on. Okay, so one thing that we're going to need to do is, as you can see, the binding posts typically need to go into a hole. So some people may try to loosen these up and maybe kind of slide them in there and tighten this down, and it may work, but that's not ideal. So here's what you're going to want to do. We're going to loosen up both of these. We're going to remove this jumper, and we're going to tighten it all the way down. Because now what we need to do is remove these little plugs right here. There's a red plug and a black plug. So you're just going to take your small flathead screwdriver, go right up underneath that, and they literally pop right out. So you can see it's just a plug. Do the same thing over here. So the reason why I removed the jumper, as you can see, it's really hard to get down underneath that. So just to make it easier, if you remove the jumper, it allows you to tighten this down a little bit further, which brings that little plug up a little bit higher. Just makes it a lot easier to get out of there. And just like that. So now that those are removed, go ahead and loosen these back up. Put our jumpers back on. Tighten them back down. Put this one back on. Alright, so now all we have to do is slide it into the post. Go ahead and tighten it to the right. Give it about a half turn to a full turn. And they lock in. To unlock them, just turn it counterclockwise, and they pull right out. Okay, so there you have a look at the GLS locking banana plugs. Now, I told you at the beginning of the video that I'd share with you my thoughts regarding the banana plugs. Now, I absolutely love banana plugs. I use them on all of my equipment. I love being able to swap out speakers. As you know, I get a lot of speakers in for review, so it's really essential for me to be able to easily switch out between two pairs of speakers or two center channels, and banana plugs are 100% convenient for me and my use here in Youthman Reviews. But when it comes to the GLS locking banana plugs, there's a couple of things that I noticed while installing these. Number one, they're build quality is incredible. These are actually a lot heavier. They feel more durable than the locking banana plugs that I have and I've used on the back of my receiver. I'm not sure what brand they are. They don't have a name on them, so I would expect them to be a lesser quality. But the one thing that I found out about these, even though they feel like they've got a great build quality, number one, they're kind of a pain to assemble. And that's with all locking banana plugs. Because you have these small set screws, you can easily lose those. If you tighten them down too far, then you're going to drop that set screw inside this barrel. Sometimes the gauge wire isn't thick enough, and so you have to get kind of creative, like you saw in the video how I had to fold it, kind of twist it, and then get that little set screw to pinch down on that wire in there. The other thing that I noticed with this set of banana plugs is as you tighten it, sometimes I noticed that it doesn't push these two pins up all the way, and so that doesn't open up like it should. And so when I stuck it in the back of the hole and tightened it down, I could easily just pull it out. Now you could feel it was grabbing, but it wasn't tight to where I had to, I couldn't pull it out. It pretty much could pull right out. And so maybe over time these will kind of loosen up. The gentleman that sent these to me said that that was the case. He loves using them. He's always had a great experience with them. But he said definitely, you're going to have to kind of tighten them and loosen them, tighten and loosen them, and kind of let them kind of wear in. So that may be the case there. I don't know because I haven't had them but literally a few days and just installed them today. But other than that, the cost of these are very relatively inexpensive. The build quality is great. But like I said, the two things that's definitely a lot more time consuming. The banana plugs that I prefer to use actually are the Monster cable. Now I'm not a big Monster cable fan. I know back in the 90s, Monster was the big deal, and but it was expensive and it was supposedly would give you better quality. They had Monster wire and Monster cable. A lot of that was just marketing. But honestly, these are a great build quality. Fortunately, I've never actually bought a pair of these. These were always given to me. Sometimes I'd buy a set of speakers and the guy would say, hey man, I got some speaker wire, you want to have these? And I said, sure. And they would be equipped with these. And so I've got several pair of these. Absolutely love them. They're really, really, really easy to install. You literally unscrew this top right here. You feed your wire up into the barrel, fold it down, and screw it right back on, and it literally takes you probably 30 seconds to assemble these. So these are really, really super convenient, and once you tighten them down, they're not coming out. So they're really, really nice, and I've yet to find these get loose over time. I've had some cheaper versions in the past that over time, as you insert it and pull it out, these pins will kind of get squished, and so they would no longer be a tight fit. But these I've yet to find. Anytime when I put them in any kind of speaker, they always fit tight and they've always remained secure. So I definitely recommend these. The only downfall to the Monster is they're really expensive. But if you want some quality connectors and some that are really, really easy to use and that are very durable and well built, definitely consider these. I'm going to post these in the description below. I'll also post these in the description below, as well as two other brands. There's a brand called Sewell. I've never owned them, but they've got great reviews on Amazon. I know a lot of guys have used those in the past and continue to use those. And even the Amazon Basics. The Amazon Basics look almost identical to these. So I'm assuming that they tried to just kind of mimic them, but they're a whole lot cheaper. And so I'll post a link to those in the description as well. But I love banana plugs. I can't live without them. It's one of those things that once you get them, at first I was thinking, man, I don't really want to spend extra money just on tips. But man, once you get them, the convenience factor there is so, so nice. When I swap out a receiver, when you buy a new receiver, that's a pain, especially if the binding posts are vertically aligned. So you have, say, a positive and a negative top and bottom. And they're set 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 all the way across. Those are really, really a pain just to be able to get the wire in there because you're having to get in between 2 sets of binding posts. When they're all horizontal, like on the Denon 6400 and the Marantz 8012, those are horizontally aligned and they're so much easier. So if you've got access to one like that, super convenient. That's not a big deal to put bare wire in there, unless you plan on taking it in and out. You know, they're definitely convenient. Some guys like to put them on both the front end and the back end. In other words, putting banana plugs on the receiver on the back, as well as maybe amplifiers, and then on the front end as well, which would be your speakers. So the actual center channel front speakers. Now I put them on my front speakers, I put them on center channels, but I don't put them on my surrounds because my surrounds literally are mounted and they pretty much aren't coming down until I upgrade down the road. But that's going to be a long ways down the road, so there's no need for the convenience factor. So again, these aren't going to make them sound any better. You're not going to hear any difference. You're not going to lose sound quality by adding an extra component to the wire. The biggest thing is convenience, and these are amazingly convenient. So if you don't have banana plugs, I definitely highly recommend. Like I said, I'll post links to various ones in the description. Check those out if they're a fit for you and something that you might be interested in. Use the links below, help support the channel. Well guys, hopefully the video has been informative as well as beneficial to you. So we're gonna wrap up the video here. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.